Welcome to the first meetup for. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first GEG meetup for the 2022-23 school year. We hope everyone has had a great start to their school year, and we have a few announcements. We hope you're all receiving the daily resource share. That's been great. They have some great new fun ideas, and thanks, Matt, for organizing that and sending those out. And also, we want to mention to you that USET is also accepting now proposals for their conference. You can have a proposal to present both in person and virtually. And if you go to the USET website, you'll be able to see what their criteria are for submitting those proposals. And now I'm going to turn the time over to Emma so she can talk to you about our GEG newsletter.
Hey, Deanna, thanks for turning over to
Emma.
Just wanted to talk a little bit about our newsletter to highlight that. Matt's going to put it up onto the screen for us. Thanks, Matt. This is our Google Educator Group newsletter. There are some great things in here. First off, if you haven't checked out the newsletter, you really need to go look at it because beyond just our regular resource share, there's tons of things in there. The first thing is Matt here has here Learning in September with GEG, kind of a little bit overview. There's a great button right there. If you are interested in contributing to the newsletter, like you have something really cool that you're doing with Google Tools in your classroom, we want to see it. We want to highlight it. Make sure you click on that button. It will take you to a Google form that has just some quick information, your name, your email, and a little bit about what you like to share. Matt, if you'll just keep scrolling for me, just a little bit more down. Perfect. Like Deanna mentioned, call for proposals is there. If you're like, where do I go to find the criteria she was talking about? It's right there. There are also some great highlights about the podcasts that are here in the state of Utah. UEN Homeroom, which has some great stuff. The USET podcast, the Utah Teacher Fellows, which highlights educational leaders in our state and has them talk about some things that they're working on. I know recently they just did one with Casey Weaver, and she in her kindergarten classroom. So it doesn't matter if you're an elementary educator or a secondary educator, great things there for you. And then we also have our highlight article and this professional development. So I love that it's called Get Googly, Deanna. I just think it's so fun.
I know. I love that name. That is great.
I guess there's some highlight articles and then our teacher spotlight with Kira, which is awesome. She is a phenomenal educator and has some great tips. So make sure you check that out, look that through. We kind of gave you a brief overview, but there's going to be that every month. And again, we'd love to highlight you either as a spotlight or if you're interested in contributing. So yeah. Dan, you have questions other people should know about the newsletter?
No, I think the newsletter is great. And I think it does have a wealth of activities and ideas for teachers to use. And I especially was really excited to see your article in there about using the drop downs. So that was awesome. A new way of using drop downs with your students. So that was great. So
thanks. Also, if you're like one of those people and you're watching, you're like, I don't want to go back through the emails. These are all linked on our website on the GEGUtah site. So
yeah,
forgot.
Perfect. Thank you. Now I think we'll bring everybody back in and we'll do our make and take marvels. I think Matt, you're on. Hi, Kelly. Welcome. Yay. So Matt, are you up now for this make and take marvel for us?
I am. I'm excited. This is the first time we're doing it this way. And I got to say, before we even get into it, welcome everyone. It's the first one of the 2022-2023 school year. We're going to do these every month. We're going to do different make and take marvels every month. The goal being is that we really want to give back to our community some amazing stuff that's happening in the state of Utah. So we really want to be able to share some of the lessons and ideas. So each month we're going to have a different leader from GEGUtah sharing and putting some amazing things out there. So make sure you're here every month, and we'll be making sure that those invites go out really quickly. I just happened to get to do draw first blood on this, I guess would be the terminology I'm looking for. But hopefully it's good. We'll see what happens with it because this is a brand new idea. We'll see what happens. So with that said, folks, to do this today, we're going to do this along with each other. So that's the goal of a Make and Take Marvel, is that you follow along, you try out the process, and we share as well. So all the leadership team are going to be doing this alongside us as I explain it and trying different things. So to get into it, folks, you can see right here, find the site at go.uen.org/lowercase b, uppercase y, and K. lowercase k. That'll take you to our website today and get you all set up for our Make and Take Marvel. So I'll give you a second to get there. A little bit of background for this today. I came out of my classroom being really focused on creativity, and so I love sessions when we use Google or we use a tool other than Google to do something incredibly fun and creative with our students, and not just something that is kind of run of the mill. Like the idea of like just let's do a worksheet and build it out. So this is one of my goals here is that we're going to do something kind of creative, kind of fun, and then on top of that, hopefully something that you can use in your classroom this week, next week, sometime this quarter, whatever it's working towards. So hopefully you're all there, folks. Again, it's go.uen.org/lowercase b, uppercase y, and the letter K. A couple things that are on here, folks, just as here's my information. If you need to email me, my social media, all the connections to GEGUtah. We also have our information on here for GEGUtah. So if you're new or if you haven't been here before, this will get you to our daily resource shares, which is something we do every single day of the school year. One little googly thing every single day of the work week. So it's stuff that will up our knowledge and our ability as teachers and educators in this community. So that's right there. That's easy to find. And then down below, you'll find how to join GEGUtah, so you can share that with your community. And then also just some great learning tools. Where we're going to jump to, folks, is over to the corner where it says In the Room. That's the project that we're going to be working on today, doing a Make and Take Marvel. Now, before I even get into it, what I want to do is take 30 seconds. I'm going to practice some digital wait time here in a second. I want you to think about a lesson or some content that you teach in your curriculum area or a curriculum area that you've taught in the past that maybe didn't connect with your students as well as it could have. Something that you always struggle to teach and always struggle to connect it with your students. Mine was Animal Farm. I had to teach it every year in 9th grade English. It was always a hard book for students to understand and for me to get across to them. So I'm gonna practice 30 seconds of wait time, folks. And I do have a timer now, so 30 seconds. Get a lesson that doesn't always connect with your students. Wait time always seems longer when you're staring at a timer, by the way, folks. It's that idea that measured time moves more slowly. So that's about 30 seconds. So let's jump in. Hopefully you got that idea in your head. You're ready to roll. You got some ideas. Now, where this comes from, folks, is a couple presenters around the country that I've gone and seen at different conferences. So I wanted to give you some connections here to start off with. Dan Ryder, Jackie Gardy, and Matt Dombrowski do these wonderful presentations every year at ISTE and South by Southwest EDU, where it's all about student learning and the idea of let's do something creative with student learning. So they do stuff with Legos and action figures and all sorts of amazingness, but that they're always digital and physical in nature. So like to give you an idea, one of the ones last year that I did with Dan was they had a pile of action figures. You were supposed to pose two of the action figures as if they're having a deep conversation. And then you were supposed to put a Google slide together behind them with the speech bubbles for what they were talking about. And so it's this really cool combination of physical, digital, and then you take a picture and turn it in digitally. So really cool stuff. And if you're looking for more creativity down the line, some great people here as well: Steve Isaacs, Aaron Dowd, Micah Shippey, Jesse Lubinsky, and Claudio Zavala Jr. Follow them on social media. You're going to be inspired. At least I am every single time. So lots of really cool stuff there and a lot of great resources. All right, scrolling down, folks, here is the process. So what we're going to do, folks, is this is called In the Room. So what it is it's a physical and digital diorama. So I am a huge miniatures and diorama fan. It's something I don't really talk about very often. And just to prove my nerdity, I'm going to remove the screen for a second. This is the current miniature I'm working on right now. It has over 10,000 bricks that I have to lay. And it's just incredible. And I love making miniatures and seeing little worlds pop up as I work. And so in the room is a process for that. So thinking back to maybe your high school experience or maybe college, that idea that we put posters on the wall, we show who we are, we show the content, but then we also have the physical space. And so what we're going to do, folks, is we're going to do the digital side of it, and then I'm going to challenge you to do the physical side of it in your classroom, maybe share it on social media. So with me, folks, what you're going to do is go ahead and click this link right here. It's in the picture. And that'll take you to a copy screen. And I'm going to share my screen again, just because for some reason it's not working. Share. And I'm going to make a copy of this. And what it does is it gives me this really cool measured design. So what this is it's a 3-fold. So you got 1 fold here, 1 fold here, and it's meant to wrap around a piece of a standard size of a carpet sample. So you can go get a carpet sample at a store or at a craft store. I go to this place called the Clever Octopus and get craft samples of carpet all the time. And this provides our walls, which we can print off, but then we have the floor and the physical space that we can put objects into as well. So thinking of your content area, folks, you've got places to put text and you got places to put pictures, okay? So I'm going to start building one for Animal Farm here in a few minutes, but I'm going to challenge you guys to start working on yours and maybe build out one for the content area that you chose earlier. While you're working, I'm going to show you how I built this and give you some tips on how to create something like this in your Google Drive. So leadership, give it a shot. Build out a poster of content area and be ready to share in about 5 to 7 minutes. For those of you that are following along that aren't on leadership, I'm just going to go up here and click new and presentation. And I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple tips and tricks to make and manipulate this space in a way that allows us to create something really interesting. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm on a Google slide deck. I'm going to go ahead and delete those 2 things right there. I just want the blank space. I'm going to go up here to file. And this is the first step that we want to do is page setup. So if I do this, I can go ahead and change this to custom and I can measure out however big I want my space to be. So in this case, I know that the carpet sample is 4 inches by 4 inches. So that gives me, I need 12 inches across because I'll have 1, 2, and 3 sides, and then it's going to be 4 inches tall. So I need 12 by 4. This is going to test me to make sure I got it right. Yep, there we go. So you've got kind of this long panoramic view that now we can start building on. The second thing I'm going to do is go over here to background. As you can see on mine, I just added this like wood paneling. It's because I grew up in a house where wood paneling was just kind of there. And so I always think about posters and things like that for my room as wood paneling. But you can add whatever background you want. All you have to do is click choose image. And let's say that I just want to grab, like for Google image search, green. There we go. So like maybe just like a nice green screen background. Cool. Done. And now that's my background for my in the room. You can manipulate and change all you want. And if you are following along, feel free to change the background of your copy. All you do is just the same thing. And then change, choose image and background. And then the next step, folks, is we've got to go in and build in our view and theme builder. Once we're in here, folks, we can start manipulating this space to be what we want it to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete all these other background formats. I'm going to get rid of this guy. And as you can see, I added some spaces for images. I added some spaces for text all the way around all 3 sides of this. So I'm going to go ahead, right here is our text button. I can go ahead and click on there and grab title or subtitle or body text. And I can go ahead, and these are placeholders. So wherever I put this, anybody who makes a copy will be able to type there, just like you are on my copy that I gave you just a few minutes ago. On top of that, I can add different levels of text. So I can go ahead and grab like right here. I can grab some body text and put it down here on the bottom. And there we go. So I got some places for text. And I can also change right now if I want a certain font or color for my students. So let's say I don't like Arial, but I really like Poppins. So I grab Poppins. I'm going to change the color to white, so it'll show up on that green background. And now I have the ability, or that will show up for my students as they make a copy and they're able to write. I'm just going to go ahead and change all of that really quick. Boom, there we go. Now to get my images, I have to go ahead and use the button right next to my text, which is the image button right here. If I hit the drop down, I can go ahead and add an image placeholder right in these spaces. And so I'm going to go ahead and just grab this oval and draw, and I'm good to go. Now this is an image placeholder, so students or users can go ahead, click that button. They'll be able to add an image from Google Drive, from their hard drive, from anywhere on the web, or from Google Image Search. But also, I learned this trick a couple weeks ago, and I was super excited because I've got my image placeholder here. If I click this button right here, it says Mask Image. I can change the shape of that image as well. So I'm just going to go do electric bolts. So now I have a bolt one. I'm going to add a couple more. I'm going to do another oval like right here. Probably going to cover up something on accident, but that's okay. I'll do a call out. This one's kind of cool. And then I'll do a third one. Do a rounded rectangle up here at the top. And we'll do smiley face. There we go. Cool. So I have these done. I'm going to go ahead and click close right here. And now, wow, I actually didn't cover up anything. That's great. These are ready to roll, and the students can move these around, but they're already placed for the students and they're ready to kind of build out something that's unique to them. Now from there, every student can have their own in the room diorama. They can build out different parts of it. So thinking about this one right here, if I were to do it for Animal Farm, I'd encourage my students maybe to grab a specific character or an event and make a room or space for that character or event that shows us, maybe like a little museum or like a little character development space. So like for instance, I might go, okay, I'm going to make one for Boxer, the horse. So I'm going to go up here and go, all right, I'm going to grab a picture, not from my drive. That's not what I needed. I'm going to go ahead and just search the web. I need a horse. That looks kind of like Boxer, at least how I think. There we go. That'll fill in right there. I can add some text. Boxer, the horse is a good horse. And so on and so forth. And just kind of create this really cool, simple, but effective diorama space that then we can print out or share digitally and work together. So there's lots of different manipulables that we can add in here. You could also, because it's a template, we could add videos in there or instructions to our students. We could have two different, I could make a duplicate slide and have this be instructions for my students or an example. That's a really good way to go on these as well, is to give the students an example of what you're working with. Now, to get this out to our students, if you don't know about force copy, folks, I'm going to show you how to do that really quickly. They changed a few things around over the summer, Google did, on sharing permissions, and so I just want to make sure you know those. You might have already noticed these when you started sharing stuff for the school year. So as I go up here, I'm going to go up to my share button, and they turned it all into an all-in-one now, which is totally fantastic. Instead of having to go to a separate page to change global access, it's all in one page now. So right here, I'm going to click general access. I'm going to change this to anyone with a link. Click done and just make sure it's viewer. And then up here at the top, if you've never done a force copy, folks, there's in your URL, there's a little part of it that says edit. It's just 4 letters. And if I change that to copy, anybody who gets my URL now will have a force copy link, and they'll get a copy of that particular presentation. And it won't affect my original, but it'll give them a copy that they can work off of and build. And so this is just a fantastic way to get materials to students and make sure that they are ready to go and get that to them quickly and easily. Just make, I worked with younger grades, like 7th, 8th graders, and I've talked to a lot of elementary teachers. Just know that it makes a copy every time they click the button. So if a student comes to class and they're like, oh, I don't know where my work is, it's probably in their Google Drive. They just need to go find their reasons folder and work it through. All right, I'm going to give you leadership team thumbs up, thumbs down. Do you guys need another minute? Yeah, okay. I'll give you a couple more minutes here. I'll go talk about a few other things. So this in the room was part of a presentation Kelly and I did at URSA this summer. It was one of my favorite ones that I did at the conference. It was called Creative Backbone. And basically what we did is 4 different digital and physical manipulative projects. And so the other 2 that I wanted to show today, I'm not going to show these in full, but if you're interested, there's the links right here. The first one's called Dinner Party. This one is meant to go with like a glass, and you put things into it. But basically when you do Dinner Party, you'll get a link here. And when you go into it, folks, it's going to ask you a ton of questions about who's coming to your dinner party, who are you inviting, why would you want to talk to this expert, or what would you not want to talk about with this expert, what are you planning to feed them, what does this dish represent, and then now that you have all that information, you can put it into your glass and turn it in. And so it's, again, a physical and digital work that could work at any grade level and with any content area, because I always think about scientists. Like, imagine, like, hey, you're going to interview experts in science. You have like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Carl Sagan and Stephen Hawking. What are you going to feed those guys? What are you going to talk about? What's the table conversation going to be like? So it forces students to really think about the totality of a person that they're thinking about, and then also dive into their biography a little bit more effectively. On the flip side, we have this one called Game Your System, which is I found about 40 game cases for PlayStation or Xbox 360 that were just empty at the craft store, and I got them all for like $4. And I was like, this is really cool. Let's repurpose these. And so I thought about how can we create a template that students can create a design for a game that they would want to create around the content area. So here's the little template for you. It's URSA Games, a Utah product, that sort of thing. Just kind of fun branding. You can change that up if you want to. But having kids think about what's their cover image going to look like, what's their title and subtitle, what's the instructions for the game, how are we going to work this through, and then maybe even some like theoretical screenshots of what the game will look like. This was really fun to see teachers kind of build through in that session, because they were thinking about their content, but then they were also thinking about how to build that content around a game platform and really dive deeply into it. So some really fun little projects there. Feel free to steal all 3 of these: the In the Room, Dinner Party, and Game Your System. Use them in your classroom. If you do use them, shoot me an email. I'd love to see that work. But the biggest thing is, as you work through these and you're thinking about Google and like Google as a tool, at least if you're in my perspective, is I always think about, okay, yes, there's a digital element here, but how can we get students using their hands, thinking about things a little bit differently, doing something physical as well, and making something and building something that really helps them to connect both the digital content that we're working at with and the physical world that they're kind of living in and working through. So with that said, are we ready to show off leadership? Our Make and Take Marvel are in the room. Who would like to share theirs? You might have to share your screen actually really quick too.
I can.
I'll go first.
Oh, Ian's
Awesome.
got it.
Sorry, Emma.
Nope,
Hang
you're
on
good.
1 second. Let me get the... I'm not done yet, but I have... Let's see here. Share screen.
That's okay. You only had like 12 minutes to do this, Ian. So
Wait a minute. I got to get it in the right place to share it, I think. Okay. All right. All right, Matt, you should be able to throw that up there.
perfect. There we go.
All right, I'm thinking science here. One of the things that was very difficult to teach the students is scale of the solar system. Most of the pictures that we actually see of the solar system, they show the planets all the same size and they show them equal distances apart. So I tried to throw in a couple images that would counter that. And so that was my idea in the physical space, which I couldn't really do here. Maybe there might be a physical representation of that, maybe 3D printed models of the planets or something like that we could set out in that space and go from there.
I could see like something like you having like a like a little like metal ball representing the sun, and then like coarsely like a grain of rice is the size of Jupiter or something like that. Like here's some scale of in that space. That's a really cool one, man. I love that. Who else wanted to share? Emma, go ahead.
I love how I'm raising my hand. That's definitely a teacher thing. Let me share my screen real quick. Make sure I have this up. Okay. Almost there. Make sure I'm clicking the right buttons here. Okay. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to share it again. Apparently, I've lost permission. So
Ruh-roh.
I am going. It's okay. I'm going to share you a link, and I'll let you pull it up, and then I can talk about it.
Awesome. Yeah, tell us a little bit about it.
So I'm a digital literacy teacher, so it's and a history teacher. So I made some. I just put it in the chat. Matt, you can grab it. So I made one about file storage, like storage size, things like that, because my students always have a hard time grasping it for them. Matt, I'm hoping it'll let you throw that up on the screen. Maybe it'll make more sense when it gets there. So I made mine about how storage has changed. There we go. So I have a definition of what storage is, and then talked a little about like over time devices have changed and exploring. I liked what Ian just said, so I stole the word scale. But in my brain, I was imagining like folding this or having it displayed digitally, like on a screen or like projected, and then having the actual physical devices there, like a flash drive or a floppy disk or a hard drive, and they can start like making those connections. So that was mine. That was what I thought of, because I think students they haven't experienced using a lot of different types, because most things now, like you just have an iPhone with a certain amount of storage, and so they're not used to like a separate device or things that were the size of the room storing information. So that was mine. So I have like this guy like fascinated by the first computer, the flash drive, the hard drive, and then a representation of cloud storage there. So.
No, I love that. And I love that you're already thinking about remixing this of like, here's the physical, here's the digital, let's work that together. I just think that's such a cool idea.
For just a second.
Like I can imagine this being really, really cool, like displayed like in the front of your classroom on a projector, and then how it has like the tray, you put all the physical things out and making it like a station for students to just go explore. Anyways, just thought.
No, 100%. I think you're tapping into something that is incredibly important here. And I think for anyone who's watching right now or watching in the future, these Make and Take Marvels are meant to be remixed, and we'd love to see if you remix them, like what you do with them. And so feel free to take it, and hopefully this sparks you and gets you into a really good place. We are hitting up against time here. I just wanted to go back through, and Deanna, do you want to run us through those? Are you good? Give me a thumbs up.
Okay, wait, cool. Can I share mine really quick? I'm dying.
Oh yeah, Kelly. Sorry, I forgot. Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. Okay, so I decided to do math. So in 5th grade, they have to do volume, and they have to do area and perimeter, and they always get mixed up between the three of them. And so, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so here's what I made. So I put volume in one corner and the formula, and then area and perimeter, and then I put my little Bitmoji with math. And then I also decided to use your idea of putting a video in. And I love to watch this guy, Mr. J. He kind of breaks apart all of the different ways to do math. And so the kids really like watching him too. So that's just the idea that I had.
That's awesome, Kelly. I love it. And so again, like I'm so excited to see people remix this. Feel free to share it on the Google group if you're part of GEGUtah, or share it on our social media. Tag us, tag any of us in the group as well. We'd be happy to hear from our wonderful members. And if you do something cool with it, we'd just love to see it. Who's next month? Who's doing next month's? Kelly.
So yeah, Halloween, something spooky and scary.
Yeah, perfect.
Google is scary good.
Well, it's scary good. I'm looking forward to that, Kelly. But I also have to mention what was noticed, what behind the scenes, which will look kind of funny. So we might as well point it out. All of the ladies here are in green, and the men in the GEG are in blue. How we coordinated that, I do not know.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah.
Brilliance.
Yes. But I hope you enjoyed this first meetup for GEGUtah, and will join us for the other ones in the future. We're looking forward to share fun things that we find out about Google and share them with you so you can use them in classroom.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next month.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Hey.
everybody.